What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here. I've had the Zoom tablet now for just about a day, and I want to give you some overview and impressions about Android 3.0 Honeycomb. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this is not going to be a review of Honeycomb by any stretch of the imagination. I've only had the tablet for a day, less than 24 hours, which is certainly not enough time for a review. But what I would like to give are some first impressions of the tablet itself and Honeycomb in general. So I think that there are two very unique and different target demographics that are going to be considering the Zoom and any other Honeycomb tablet. First, I think it's those folks that are going to walk into Best Buy, walk into the Verizon store, or whatever their local retailer is, and ask for a tablet. They may be sold on an Android tablet, they may be looking at an iPad, but it's definitely going to be a demographic that people are going to look for, the casual tablet users who have no affinity for Apple or Android, just looking for something to use while they sit on the couch. The other market I think this is going to be is the very pro-Android folks, those that are very familiar with previous versions of Android operating system, maybe play around with the SDK here on Honeycomb 3.0, are into the tweaking and the hacking, or have a very strong feeling towards Apple. The reality is that a lot of people that vote to go for an Android device, a lot of times that's a vote against Apple, and the same thing goes the other way. A lot of people that are looking to get Apple devices a vote against Android. So I think there's two demographics, those that really have no affinity one way or another towards Apple or Android, and just looking for a good tablet. And then those that feel very strongly and that are involved in the Android community. So let's start with the former of those communities, those that are just looking to pick up a tablet in general, and a Honeycomb tablet is what they're looking for. Well, I will say that there's definitely a steep learning curve here with Android 3.0. It's a bit different than previous versions of Android we've seen in the past. The first difficulty thing I've had to, and still I'm sort of struggling with, is no physical home button. That's something that I've gotten used to on pretty much all of my devices, at least the tablet devices. So we've got a soft home button. Now for someone that's familiar in using an iPad, it's going to be a bit different. However, for the people that we're talking about who maybe have never picked up a tablet, this probably won't be as big a learning curve and as a different feeling as it is for me. The home button resides in the bottom left-hand corner, and the nice thing is it's always in the bottom left-hand corner. No matter what app you're in or what orientation you have it in, it's going to realign itself and always be in that bottom left-hand corner, which does make things quite nice. And so sort of keeping in line with that steep learning curve. There are a lot of things that this tablet can do, and this thing can do a ton, but they're not overly and readily apparent. When you look at something like the iPad, which certainly this is going to be cross-shopped with, there's something to be said for its simplicity. It's very easy to use, to pick up, and just do. Now, while the Zoom may do much more, you definitely need to spend some more time with it to learn how to use those features. So, for example, things like these notifications down here are very handy to learn to know how to use. You can see some messages and emails that I've got, but you may not know how to work those right away. Apps at the top, you can go ahead and click. You can go ahead and view apps and view more apps if you have, and then hit the home button down at the bottom. If you've used Android in the past, you're certainly going to know that you can sort of hold and tap down and get access to all your wallpapers and widgets and that stuff. But again, it may be a bit confusing to sort of the lay user who's just trying to learn how to use a new tablet. Now, I think that the learning curve here is probably going to be not relatively long, about 2 days. Actually, I gave the tablet to my wife to try yesterday when we first brought it home. Now, she's an iPhone user, and she was able to pick up the tablet and learn how to use it with a bit of difficulty, but after about 10 minutes of playing with it, she was starting to haul through. It was just different than what she was used to. So let's go ahead and sort of keep talking about some of the other demographics, those that are very used to Android. So this is a different Android experience. Some things are fundamentally the same. You hold down an icon, and you can move it and delete it, although now the remove button's in the upper right-hand corner. Same way to access widgets and wallpapers. You go ahead and hold it down as I showed. You can scroll through a ton of different choices, and you can move along here through app shortcuts, wallpapers, and such to sort of continue what you know. The marketplace has been redesigned here for a tablet. Unfortunately, there aren't that many tablet apps available, but presumably that will change. Go ahead and show you what's there. Android apps for tablets. There we go. So it does take a little bit to load. There aren't that many here. I think we've got, 15 apps or so, at least right now. But there are many more that will presumably will be coming. So if you are familiar with Android, it's going to be a very familiar experience for you. One of the things that I really do like, though, are the widgets that appear. It's nice to go ahead and check my email. I can see my calendar. I can go ahead and access my bookmarks, and there are a ton of other widget choices that are here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. The one knock that I have on this is a lot of the applications actually don't work with Android 3.0, even though they are, well, it's pretty much supposed to. If the developers haven't updated it to be compatible, you may have some compatibility issues. And that's something that we'll see addressed, certainly as Android 3.0 matures. Go ahead and move that icon down. I'm a stickler to make sure things are in order. So in conclusion, with my first impressions of Honeycomb, it's a very full-featured operating system. It works very well, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to get used to if you're not familiar with Android. If you are familiar with Android, there's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but not as steep. I'm starting to really enjoy using the Zoom, and I think it could potentially be my tablet of choice. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to use it and play around with it, and I'll give you guys some more features and overviews as I feel more comfortable with it and feel prepared to offer a review and a comparison. So guys, want to know what you think? Is a Zoom for you, not for you? Are you waiting for the iPad 2? Waiting for another Android Honeycomb tablet coming out? I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.